bring Erick Erickson into the conversation, the conservative commentator, host of the Erick Erickson Show, who, like a lot of people, would not be surprised by the Matt Gaetz situation. But I know you've been kind of screaming and yelling at people that this was kind of a waste of time, right, from Trump's point of view, and waste of resources. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, you just got this transformative election, the largest multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition any Republican has ever gotten. You could transform the country. Instead, you're bogged down in cabinet picks because of Matt Gaetz, Robert Kennedy Jr., now the allegation against Pete Hegseth. If you're trying to build your cabinet quick to get your agenda done, you're wasting political capital getting people. Gaetz getting out of the way actually helped you. But now you got to deal with the Hegseth allegations and all the stuff that's starting to float out there about Robert Kennedy. Let's
talk about Hegseth first. I know you have some strong thoughts about Kennedy, which are interesting because they're different ways of talking about Kennedy. Some people have an issue with, vaccines. Some other people have an issue with social issues. But on Hegseth, we'll put up part of the, or put up the article about the police report. We put up part of the police report earlier. This is for back in 2017. It's an incident at a hotel. Hegseth claims it was a consensual relationship with a woman who, was at this Republican conference. The woman says otherwise and reveals these graphic details of allegations against Hegseth in the police report. Is this going the same direction as Gaetz in terms of a withdrawal before a hearing, or how do you see it?
I've seen some reporting out there that the Trump transition team was a little floored Hegseth didn't put that out there for them. They were caught off guard. But there's a lot of support for Hegseth. I have supported him, but I do think the allegation needs to be looked into. What we know is that no charges came out of this. But a lot of people who say this is like the Kavanaugh situation, there was never a police report in the Kavanaugh situation. There's a contemporaneous one in this case. So Senate Republicans are going to want to take this one seriously when they look into it.
You said you supported him. There were questions and have been questions raised about whether or not he's qualified for the job. You've heard that in terms of, running an organization as large as the Department of Defense with millions of employees and doesn't have that experience in his background. Why this situation aside for a moment, why do you support him as the nominee?
Yeah, look, I do think he's a disruptive force in the Pentagon, and he's been in the military. I mean, he gave up a lucrative financial career after 9/11 to join the military. And frankly, I tell people all the time, if Pete Hegseth can survive and rise in the internal politics of the Fox News building, he can certainly make his way through the Pentagon.
I laugh because I've worked in that building for many, many years. Now, final thing on all of that's interesting, is RFK. Okay, because I wanted to give you time to talk about this because I thought it was interesting what you said, because it's not the same thing that everybody else is saying. Like I said, there's some people came on, we've had guests, vaccine skepticism, that's their issue. Your issue is different. I mean, you were saying your worldview matters. Senate Republicans must block the nomination of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Why?
You're giving a man who supports gun control and abortion rights a quarter of the federal budget. I don't think people realize that outside of the mandatory spending of Social Security and Medicare and the federal debt, the Department of Health and Human Services is allocated 1/4 of the entire federal budget. He is a progressive Democrat. He hasn't changed. He is in favor of abortion rights. He is in favor of gun control. He is a vaccine skeptic and has lied repeatedly on the record about vaccines, risks undermining those. He is an environmental activist who is against the aggressive energy policies that Donald Trump supports. In every situation, Robert Kennedy is bad, except for some COVID skeptics, he opposes red dye number 5 in your food and the COVID vaccine, and so they're willing to overlook the entirety of his record. But I don't think you can overlook the entirety of this man's career and record when you're about to give him control of a quarter of the federal budget.
Right. Do you think he makes it through? Because it's one thing to have opposition from one kind of area of your base, and so some social conservatives may, to your point, that some of the points you just made, say, well, we don't like his position on abortion, and then there's other people that don't like many of his other positions on health. So how does it all come together in the end, do you think, for Kennedy?
I've talked to a number of Republican senators, and the same ones who said they wouldn't vote for Gaetz are more open to Kennedy because while they oppose him, it's not the allegations related to Matt Gaetz and the investigations related to Matt Gaetz. And so they're willing to give the president more latitude on a nominee they may disagree with. Behind the scenes, though, I'm told, pro-life activists are working very aggressively to, if not get Kennedy to withdraw or defeat him, to make sure that everyone underneath him is committed to the pro-life cause.
All right.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below. to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.